and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And today...
And, you go ahead.
You can lead off if you want. I always lead off. How about you lead off?
Okay, oh, fuck. The pressure. I don't like change. You know this, Spencer. No. Anyway. So, basically, we were talking... Last episode, we were going to talk about this, but we just got so caught up in the other things, and I guess mentioning this would have seemed a little, out of balance with the episode from last time. So we just figured maybe give it its own episode. If
Green Lantern Orgy.
Yeah, it would seem a little off balance, given everything else we were talking about. So this might be an exclusive. We'll just see where this episode goes. Just like dedicated to this dude, but If you listen to us, chances are you probably have similar interests. If that's the case, you probably know. I know I'm gonna butcher his name here, his first name at least. Satoru Iwata, the president of Nintendo, passed away about 3 or 4 days ago, and it was something we wanted to talk about, but we just kind of went off on everything else from last week. It probably just would have seemed like off balance and all that. So figured do just a special on that right now.
Well, he's really one of those kind of guys. When you look at all the stuff he did, like at first glance, obviously other than being like president of Nintendo, you kind of go, it's not like he created Metroid or he created Zelda or Kirby or Pokemon or any of these things, but it's what he did to make them all possible. That's what really makes him so special. And in fact, really, creating these games, you read some of these things on it, it's just like, I've known about his name forever just from reading Nintendo Powers and so on. But some of these articles I was reading in like the last couple days, it's just like all these little things. It's like, I didn't know this. Like the fact that when they were making gold and silver Pokemon, they wanted to put all this cool stuff in there. And like, we want to have, you go back to the old place, Kanto, and you're doing all these things, and they couldn't find a way to fit it on there. Well, he goes up there, he's like, well, here, I'll program it to you. And I don't know what he does. I don't know if it's like he was doing it in like a month or something like that. But he literally found a way to take that Game Boy's small chip and then fit the whole rest of this game in there just by the way he was able to program it all so that he could double the entire size of that cartridge, in a sense.
I didn't know that. That's news to me. I know that he was primarily, that's pretty surprising right there, because they didn't know he had, I was like, don't worry, I got it. Like, he MacGyvered that shit in there, Apparently,
he did a ton of them kind of MacGyvering things, too.
I know that he primarily, for a while, he was just one of the programmers working on various games. The ones he most notably worked on was Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon, Kirby, just various major Nintendo titles, just a programmer. But I want to say...
And there are a lot of HAL titles, like that division of Nintendo.
Yeah, he started working at HAL Studios, or HAL Laboratory, back in 1983. And HAL they're responsible primarily for Kirby, and I think Kirby and Smash Brothers are probably two biggest things come out of HAL Studios. Or HAL Laboratory, yeah. So, yeah. And for a while I thought he was the guy that created Kirby, but I misread that. He worked on Kirby. That was some of the earlier things he worked on. He did work on Balloon Fight. So a lot of just these old like Nintendo games that we all know. Like he wasn't really a Shigeru Miyamoto, but he was still very much a hands-on guy who did a lot. And it's just really sad. Aside from the fact that he's not going to be there for Nintendo, it's just sad because I read some interviews with him. I looked at some interviews with him. He actually seemed like a really nice, laid-back guy, and that's all people really have to say about him for the most part. He also really helped push the Wii and the 3DS sales. He was the one that was mainly pushing 3D and Wii DS.
Well, really, what he did too is he took the not the 3DS but the regular DS. I guess 3DS in the long run, but. He started with the DS and the Wii, and his thing was, he's like, I want to make some games out there that are, easy access for people, that have a different kind of control scheme, so, the ideas of the motion controls and the ideas of the touch screen on the DS. He implemented a lot of those things in there. But my favorite part is, it's just all, the hands-on stuff he does. Even though he's CEO of Nintendo, it wasn't like he was just up there just kind of kicking back, smoking stogies, and yelling at people, telling them what to do. No, he was, in the fray all the time. Like when Nintendo Land came out, the new programmers, they're like, oh, check this out. We made a Balloon Trip Breeze little mini game in there. He took a look at it and goes, something fucking wrong here. I don't see it yet, but something's wrong. And he just goes over and just starts like recoding it and then fixes it right there. Well, I don't know if it was like instantaneously, like in 5 minutes he like whips it out like there you go, boom. But I mean, like he sat down and literally started doing the work himself to fix the problem. And that's not the first time. I mean, he did it on a bunch of other games too. Like apparently Earthbound was going to be like the way it was going. If they continued the way they're doing, it was going to take about another 2 years because there was just all these problems they were having with the entire game. Things weren't running right. It was slowing down at parts and so on. He literally convinced the guys to take it over. I mean, I don't think he just single-handedly had like a team. Like you sort of picture this in your mind, like he's single-handedly like, give me that computer.
Just cracks his knuckles, bring it over,
and lock me in this room. Just send the dumbwaiter down, and that's it. But he literally says like, and he rehauls the whole game. And has the game released on time and coming out like instead of taking 2 years, he does it in 6 months.
He just like drops the mic, walks out of the room. Like, not a big deal.
I mean, on Pokemon,
you hear a lot of that kind of stuff. Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say also when he also worked on Pokemon Stadium, and they took the regular battle system from Red and Blue, but that one had some like bugs and flaws in it. He literally took those, didn't even look at the scripts or whatever you need for the programming, just started working it out himself and got rid of all the problems in it to make Pokemon Stadium really smooth as far as the battling goes.
That's really surprising when you hear that. Because I'm assuming if you're a CEO, you reach this point where you don't have to do that no more. And granted, you would probably have the skill to get that job still. But when you reach that point, like, I don't got to do none of that hands-on stuff anymore. How this guy just says, yeah, there's a problem. All right, give me a fucking computer, bring it in. Let me get this out of the way. Get this thing back on track. You never really hear those stories so much, and it's like he's been, I think he's been like the president of Nintendo since '93, give or take.
I don't think it was. I think it was like he didn't become it till like about
'98.
Yeah,
maybe
a little bit later than that. But there's so many things. I mean, and then he's already CEO of Nintendo, and he's the reason why we got Super Smash Bros. Melee pretty much as a launch release. I know it's kind of like technically a month after the system came out, but he decided that he wanted to make sure this game was coming out. So for 3 months. He sat there and worked with all the guys doing the debugging of the game and really making sure that he could work out all the flaws while still doing all his Nintendo CEO stuff. So you think about this, and this is the kind of guy, these games like would define your childhood. This is like, without him in these games, it sounds like a weird concept, but would your life be the same if you didn't have things like Kirby and Smash Brothers and Pokemon? I mean, I know he didn't like create some of these ones, but just the way that these games came about might not have happened the same way without him.
Well, Smash Bros. Melee was easily one of my favorite games I've ever played. So the fact that he got that thing out and running, he probably had put his own little touch in it to an extent. And even the original Smash Brothers, and just help all the hands. He's had probably his hands near on every major Nintendo title, if I had to guess, in some form or another. And I don't know, I misread an earlier date. He was the president of Nintendo since 2002.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
But so rarely do we actually do fact checking on this show. But no, anyway, he really did kind of change a lot of childhoods. He did change a lot of people. Like I'm looking at this guy. This guy basically, I'm thinking probably like Batman animated series, Sonic the Hedgehog. There's a handful of other things. Star Wars, George Lucas. And then really this guy kind of created my childhood right there.
Yeah, I mean, you combine him with, Shigeru Miyamoto and Hideo Kojima and all these other big game developers that make these groundbreaking games, and it's just like, that's what it is. And then to top it off, this guy, he becomes the CEO. It really is like somebody you could look up to. This is a hero right here when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, just all he does, and just, as I said, some of these stories, like, I've known who this guy was always, so my whole life, but these little stories I didn't know. Like, I didn't know all these little programming things he did along the way, and just those things about getting these games out that maybe if he wasn't there at the moment, might not have happened at least the exact same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is a really sad thing that he's gone. Not just the fact that Nintendo's different now, but the fact that this guy's gone. He just seemed like a really awesome guy. Someone, like you said, someone to look up to, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones, and it's plus the fact that I think he was only like 55 or something. It was like that's like.
He had cancer. He was struggling from. I remember I looked at it earlier.
It was like bile duct cancer or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was bile duct cancer. So.
And yeah, so
that's And I had no idea. I mean, apparently he's been battling it for some time. I had no idea about that. I mean, granted, he probably didn't really go incredibly like public with it, you
It
know.
wasn't like you were playing Smash Brothers and then like an unlocked a secret like hidden video of him explaining it to you. You're like, donate more money to my fund. You're like, what?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't surprise you at least a bit if the next the next couple major Nintendo games, the next few months probably have for Satoru Iwata at the end of it.
No, yeah, you'll probably see something like that there. And
Yeah.
it is just one of those bombers. But at the same time, you got to look at all, you know, that even if it is only 55 years, that 55 years though was an amazing 55 years. And sometimes that in itself is better. It's like it's that
Exactly.
sort of concept. Would you rather live 50 years and have this amazing life where you did all this good and you created all these things, or would you rather live to 100 where you really didn't do much but just exist?
Exactly. And this guy did a fuck ton. This guy did a lot.
And I think
Mhm.
that's the way you got to look at it. He did so much in that time period that's just a
I think I'm
fantastic
just
thing
gonna
right there.
right now. I'm just thinking about like as a little nostalgia is a very frequent thing on the show, but I remember playing Smash Brothers for the first time, just being blown away, and that's definitely one of the games this guy had a hand in. He did do have a big hand in Smash Brothers, and I remember just that was one of those games you heard about. Like it was a Nintendo fighting game. That's what I heard. And then when I actually went to a friend's house to play it, the first was like, what? Is that Mario smacking Pikachu in the face? Is that I don't know what Ness is. I don't know what that is, but is that Luigi? Just having my mind just blown, and then like items randomly dropping. It's like, is that a laser sword? Is that he really did kind of just push things, and I think that like because there I think a game like Smash Brothers, you don't see a whole lot of brawler games out there like that are successful. You see a lot of Smash Brothers ripoffs, but I think this is the only one that really did a pretty good job of it. And I think that he was one of the main people running that one right there. So that's just an example of how much how
Well,
much of an impact he had on video games in general.
now just saying, did you ever play the PlayStation All Stars one?
I heard it was fun. I heard it was fun, but it's also the thing about that is they're kind of reaching for like characters. They just didn't have the Nintendo roster.
No, yeah, that's totally true. It's one of those games. It is fun. I would say, like, it's close to Smash Brothers. I mean, it doesn't have as many good characters, but there is kind of there's a cool amount of them. And I'd love to see if they make another one of those games. I don't know. It's like I think the game did good. I don't think it did like amazing,
Hmm.
but it was fun and it had quite a bit of characters. I mean, the roster is a little bit smaller and a little bit weaker, and they did have to kind of pull from other games that aren't technically PlayStation games, but close enough.
Well, like Big Daddy from BioShock. That's cool, but that's not a PlayStation exclusive game. They had the new Dante and
And Raiden.
Raiden. Those aren't like PlayStation exclusives. It would have been if like Hideo Kojima didn't go, yeah, there's other places I can take this thing. So and then I mean I get Nathan Drake, I get Jack, Sly Cooper. Those are all cool characters. Like I thought it was kind of a cool little nod, Papa the Rapper, but that I want to say of all things, that was kind of funny. The main boss was actually this is definitely a reach. The old like PlayStation angry face man from their like '90s ads.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He was a boss, I believe.
But I also think about Smash Bros. Being the first time because like we were trying to get Cisco to be on the podcast, and then he just happened to not have enough time. We also called him like literally 30 seconds before we were about to like start. So, but that's
You're
just the way.
working,
Fucking
nerd. Hung up.
pull over to the side of the road, pull out your phone, and jump on Skype.
Jesus.
What?
You got all this miracle technology. You can't just like stop working and like talking to a microphone about video games. Fucking loser.
But he would have loved to be on it because that's really like he was like my source of like all N64 games pretty much. So like he got Smash Brothers when it came out. He got Pokemon Stadium and all this stuff, and that's where playing that Smash Bros for the first time. Like I'm trying to think of a game that came before it that had that much of a crossover in it. I can think of a couple games that did like small crossovers. Like there was a Battletoads crossover of Double Dragon game. That's like a start of like getting towards the Smash Brothers right there. But I can't think of it. Can you think of anything on Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis that has more than just like let's just say Battletoads Double Dragon, where it's just two franchises going together?
RoboCop versus the
Versus Terminator?
Terminator. I'm going for another one here.
And that RoboCop versus Terminator, I'll say this though, it's based off the comic though, so it's a little bit different. Not
Alien
really.
versus. I believe there was an Alien versus Predator, not for like Super Nintendo or
There
Genesis,
is one for
but
Super Nintendo.
yeah. And then once again based on the comic,
Yeah, it was
and
one the comic. So somebody started first. I'm trying to think of like a game that like
just characters. I guess that would be. I mean, this came out before Smash Brothers, but it was more the Virtua Fighter system. It was that Sega
oh
Saturn.
right. Sega did beat Nintendo to the punch. I guess that's true there. There is
But
a Fighters Mega Mix, and it's
but
got
I will say that like Nintendo actually gave us a bunch of characters we gave a fuck about, which I'm sure Mega Mix does have some good characters in it. But why you have Bean and Bark in there in placement of your Sonic characters, I
yeah.
that's baffling.
Fighters Mega Mix is a really fantastic game, but my only complaint to it is why did they not throw Sonic the Hedgehog characters in there? Now I'll say this: if the game was just a straight up, just fighting Vipers versus Virtual Fighter, I go okay, I understand that. But the second that you start throwing Bean in there, and then like there's even like a Daytona car that fights, and
How'd
there's
that was it just like up on its like was it like on its like
it's
hind
literally like that. It's
tires?
like it stretches out and it like punches with its wheels and stuff. It's actually cooler than you think. It sounds kind of retarded when I explain that, but
Like cars, the I just imagine like Pixar cars kind of in a sense.
yeah, it's sort of like that. And then they had the other cool things. They had virtual cop characters in there and so on. But I want to say that they were missing a lot of like big, like I don't think there was like I don't think Shinobi was in there or like Joe Musashi, the guy from Shinobi. I don't think there was like there wasn't like Alex the Kid in there. I'm not saying
You
that was
need
the
Alex the Kid. That falls apart with Alex the Kid, but you know.
There wasn't like it didn't have some characters in it, but it was a start though. You got to say at least it's a start. It's a stepping stone to Super Smash Brothers. You can't say that they didn't recognize Fighters Mega Mix when they were working their way towards Smash Brothers.
Well, funny thing is, I'm not sure whose call it was, but Smash Brothers originally it was going to be its own game. So, some like a lot of like Nintendo's franchises, like Mario Kart was originally its own game. Smash Brothers was made its own game with these different characters, where it's just like platform based, like almost it played like a platformer, but it was a fighting game. But then
I think it was a sumo wrestling
they
game called Dragon King.
Smash Brothers.
Hmm?
I thought it was. I remember seeing. I want to say they had like early stages of it, and they just saw like polygon like guys fighting, and they just switched out for Nintendo characters.
Yeah, well, I saw that here in an article I was reading. It says the prototype idea for Super Smash Bros. Was a sumo game tentatively titled Dragon King.
Huh. Okay. Well, I remember seeing maybe I saw like later footage or way earlier footage, but some of it was originally kind of looking more like just like your standard, almost like Virtua Fighter ripoff characters, like slamming into each other, all polygonish and all that. But then, yeah, I guess they just amped it. Like Mario Kart was originally just gonna be its own, just a bunch of random like just little kart racer guys, and they just said, what's gonna sell the shit? Mario. So
Slap Mario on there. It's a classic Batman tactic. You know how you sell a comic book that doesn't have Batman in the title? Slap him on the front of the issue.
what was it like Justice League International or something? It was like they didn't really.
Who's
It was
Dead
like
Center?
Batman. Well, like they used Bat. That's one of the reasons I almost grabbed it. Like, well, it's a bunch of weird random characters on there that are trying to sell it, but Batman's on it too. So maybe they're just. I was like, maybe this is kind of a cool opening for it. I flipped through it and I just happened to land on a page where Batman's just like, well, I'll be in check with you guys and leaves. He's like, I'm glad he then something to the effect of like, I'm glad he's not really joining the team. So it's like, oh, well, I'm glad I came across this now.
Yeah, good. I almost spent hard-earned money on that.
It's like in DC's Outsiders for a minute, like they for like first 3 or 4 ish bit volumes they had Nightwing as part of the team. You're like, oh well, Nightwing's in there. I know Nightwing, and then like once Nightwing's out, they're like, all right, Nightwing's gone now. See ya. It's just like, oh well, I'll get back to the series.
Yeah, it's like never mind. Yeah, but
But
I just think of the first times playing Super Smash because Smash Brothers came out in what I call the greatest year of my life, which is fourth grade. I know very few people look at fourth grade as being like the highlight of their life. Most people say, what was the highlight of my life? Senior year. Or, senior year of college or freshman year of college. Fuck, I don't know. Or,
it all blends together.
last year I was on my deathbed. That was the best year of my life because people kept bringing me free shit. But, fourth grade was that I still look at it like the pinnacle point of life because it was the only time in life I can ever say everything was perfect. And maybe like at the time there might have been some like things here, but as long as I can remember, it was just this magical time period. And not only it's the main thing that was like the magical part of it all was you had Pokemon. Pokemon was the center ground of all this magic being blossomed from not only the games but the TV show, the cards, and the action figures and so on. But at the same time period, this is when games like Super Smash Brothers came out. This is when I started to discover games also like GoldenEye and Star Fox, even though I kind of played that earlier before in stores. But all these 64 games just meshed together. Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, all this good stuff in this time period. Smash Brothers being that center part of like, hey, here's a sweet game. You get to play as pretty much your main favorite Nintendo characters. You get Mario, Zelda, Metroid, or Samus, Link. Oh, I guess you didn't get Zelda in that one. Because there's no female characters in the original one other than Samus. Pikachu, Kirby, Donkey Kong, so on. And then you get to battle it out. And it was just such a perfect time period for that, you know. There was also a time period Mario Party came out. It was just all these games and just
That's
maybe...
where I take a nap on that one.
Yeah, you're like, fuck that Mario Party shit.
I love Mario Party. Well, I love Mario. I hate Mario Party.
I hate his parties, though. I love Mario, but he's just such a dick when he invites you to a party.
He's like, it's like one of those things you walk in, he's like, you know, when it's just you and him, he's really cool. But the second you walk in and he's with a group of people, he'll start being a dick to you. He'll start bringing up embarrassing times in front of
like stealing your coins from you, like cheat you out of a mini game.
I really want to do that. I think that'd be kind of like a funny short. Just like somebody like Luigi doesn't want to go to Mario's party. It's like this big house party. Says, man, I always fucking hate coming here. Like, hey Mario, how's it going? Oh, come on in. You know, it's just like
he's always trying to like chew me out of his coins. I mean, I don't like to say that like a racial slur, but that's what he does.
I was raised in the Bronx. I can't help it. Or in Brooklyn. That's how I was raised. You know.
I mean, he's literally got a giant slot machine there that takes all your money.
And he says, come on, Luigi, you'll be lucky this time. You'll get it. I promise you, you'll get it this time. And every time, I always land once this fucking chance time. I always get that fucking one. And sure enough, yeah. He always walks away with my money. Bowser always walks away with my money. You want to know what I walk away with? Fucking empty pockets and like some lube to jerk off with when I get home.
Black stars that don't mean nothing. Nothing, I tell you.
Last time he talked to Peach and Daisy up to going to his room. What was I doing? Jerking off on the couch to go to sleep. Yeah, great fucking party, Mario.
I woke up to see Donkey Kong looking right at me eating a banana. It was fucking disturbing.
He was eating it slowly, too. The really creepy thing is still had the peel on. Still the peel while he was eating it. That's why I don't like Mario Party.
But see, there's just so many great things. Now, when I was a kid, and you know that they had the 4 secret characters, before you knew who these characters were, who were you guessing that these might have been?
Luigi was an obvious one. I saw a circle, and even though I wasn't so sure at first, I was like, maybe Jigglypuff. I thought maybe another Kirby character of some kind. Mm-hmm. And then Captain Falcon. I knew that was Captain Falcon. Ness, I had no idea. I was thinking, is that maybe Ash? Because I thought maybe it was just like a midget version of Ash. Or I wasn't really sure who Ness was because I never played Earthbound. So
yeah, at that time period, I didn't play Earthbound yet. That's almost like I think that's most people's introduction to Earthbound. Which in time I ended up playing, that being one of the most fantastic Nintendo games out there. But I remember when that game first came out, it was kind of, when you're a kid and you don't totally understand rights and stuff, you just go, well, if that's an exclusive for Nintendo, they probably own it, right? I was really thinking 007 was going to be in Smash Brothers. And they gave.
Did you think he was the one giving the Captain Falcon, show your moves, thing?
Well, but they just had a question mark on the characters when you didn't unlock them yet.
Oh, I thought you meant because at the beginning of the game, they have you see silhouettes, just these 4 blank silhouettes pop out in the corner.
Oh, I forgot about. I guess because I never saw that, because we always just press start and skip past that.
Oh, okay.
So, I literally thought that that's who was going to be in there, and they were giving it away too, because you had the proximity mines from 007, and so it was it didn't seem that far off. I mean, at the time, you don't think that that's owned by MGM and so on. It just is licensed out to Rare and Nintendo to make it. Which I was always kind of bummed that in the next Smash Brothers they didn't put Joanna Dark in there, because that was right before Rare got sold off, She could have been in there. They have items from Perfect Dark in there, but she wasn't in there.
Aside from the proximity mines, what items from Perfect Dark?
They have, I want to say, like the invincibility shield or something like that. I think it was from Perfect Dark or something like that. There's a secondary item that's in there. Enough
I
to
bet they were
say
probably planning on it.
they probably. I bet you anything Smash Brothers 3 would have had it if Rare was still around. Do you ever just kind of think of those things like, what if Rare was still part of Nintendo? And
What if Rare didn't like fuck up?
what if Rare didn't fuck up? If they didn't take that hot dog and run, being a lot of money.
I thought you were going somewhere like, what if they didn't like, like
What if
screw
they
Nintendo?
didn't suck Xbox's dick? Take a lot. Well, it's kind of a bummer because Rare was such a good company, and when Xbox bought them, they literally did that thing like put them in the corner with the rest of them.
Well, I remember they were making a big deal, kind of like, oh yeah, get ready. Here's the next big Rare game. What is it? Grabbed by the Ghoulies. It's like, oh, I don't know a single person that played that game or was looking forward to it. Maybe it's amazing. Maybe it's the next Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like we never know. It could be amazing, but do we care?
I had never heard anything good about it. Never heard it was horrible, but I never heard like people like all that excited about it. And then like it seemed like they take forever to come out with another game. And then when like I remember when Xbox 360 was coming out, like we're finally coming out with like Perfect Dark Zero, and it was just met with the most lukewarm responses and just like, oh yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, it was one of those games. It was like, as being a huge Perfect Dark fan, I was like, the Zero one was like, it's fun, but just not as good as the original one. Just I don't know, just there was something missing into it. It just didn't have.
It felt very bland.
And I think the thing too is like, it sounds weird. If you probably kept the exact same play style as the 64 one, the game almost would have felt smoother than it did in the play style it was going with. Because I think by that point, after you're kind of playing Halo, everybody kind of has to step up their game slightly as far as a first-person shooter. Because that was even though there was that time period where I would have said nothing good about Halo back in the olden GameCube days, back in that glorious Nintendo.
Then you had to take a side. It wasn't like one of those things like now we don't care, but back like in the probably from like high school and back, it was like no, I don't. I play Nintendo. I don't play that. And like I tolerate PlayStation. I don't really like their politics. They got a couple of good games with them, so I tolerate them. But fuck Microsoft. And then later you come back around like, well, this game's okay, and so is that game. So's Gears of War. So then you just like, fuck it.
You end up buying a system, and then you kind of hide it like pretty much underneath a sheet so that your friends don't see that you have it there. And then one day somebody catches you playing with it.
Like you just turn around like you have this look like you walked in on them jerking off.
Yeah, almost. And like, and especially after you talk so much crap on it, it was hard for me to like pull out. It's like, oh yeah, bought an Xbox. But like I would defend it with like, but I bought it because I wanted to get the Sega games for it. It was like that's my defense. It's pretty much like a Dreamcast 2, you know.
And I bought it used, so it didn't go to Microsoft. I bought it from Players Kingdom, so the money went straight to a small business, not to Microsoft.
And then over time, it's like when you get older, you just kind of go like, good game's good game, doesn't matter where it is. Like, I bought a PS4 not that long ago. And now I'm going like, damn, I really want an Xbox One right now. You know why? Because I got that fucking Rare Replay game coming out that's got a bunch of old Rare games kind of on one disc.
Now it's kind of like if I don't get a system right away, it's not because of like brand loyalty. It's more of like, oh, well, I just don't have the money right now, so maybe I'll get the money later, or maybe there's more games. When there are more games I want come out for it. I will say, though, regarding what you're saying about like
Rare?
What was it? Rare. Well, they're not Rare exactly, but like Microsoft. There was this whole. I remember there was like a little bit of this bitter feud between. I had this one friend. He was a really good guy, but if we start talking video games, he would just become the most snobby, pretentious prick possible.
Like you thought that Microsoft was slipping him a couple extra bucks here and there just to like spout out his like lies and rumors.
Yeah, and he'd say it like, and don't ask me why. Do not ask me why. I have no idea why, but this part of it just annoyed the fuck out of me. Whenever he'd be talking about it, whenever he'd talk about Microsoft, he would say, "Well, we're about to put out," as if like
he had shares.
Are you part of the team? Yeah, are you like 16 years old and you're like in their investments plan or some shit, you know? Because he was just, yeah, well, I'm not sure if you heard, Microsoft just bought Nintendo, you know? So this guy was like, motherfucker, no, they didn't buy Nintendo. Well, they're about to. Trust me. This next one's gonna put out that little Wii system to bed, you know? Say that kind of shit, you know? Like really good guy, really good guy. But the second you brought in like Nintendo versus Microsoft, and it's like I'm thinking back on it, this is the reason why I had like such like a bitter resentment towards Xbox and Microsoft for so long. I think it was hanging out
100%.
with this guy.
Well, I think it's one of those ones. Like, I think like lots of times like the people that supported like the Xbox in the very beginning, they just remind me of like douchebags that I did not want to hang out with. And I don't mean to saying like necessarily like these people are bad, but just sometimes the attitude that would come off from like those early Xbox gamers was just like, yeah, this is like the cool adult system, you know, for like us guys that like live in somebody's basement smoking pot and playing Halo. It's like that's what it is, man. Like, and that's kind of what that system came across. While Nintendo felt like it was like, well, this is for the classic gamer system. Like, yeah, well, fucking classic gamers are kids, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. But thank you.
It's like Mario's still just saving princesses. What's Master Chief doing? He's blowing fuckers up. You don't got Halo, man. You don't got brute force. You know, I'm just having trouble. I'm having trouble remembering like
Xbox
original.
exclusives.
Like I got Halo. I'm just thinking about this. I remember
They did
brute
have Dead or Alive
force.
though. Like,
Yeah, Dead or Alive. That was one of the sellers. Yeah, I remember that one. But and that was almost it was almost like this dude's attitude towards like Nintendo is almost kind of what I didn't like Microsoft for a while, but then eventually you come back around like, oh, this game's good. This game's good. Fuck it. Yeah, they're
fuck
good.
yeah, it's like and then when you get older, you're just like, I don't care. It's like, give me them all, damn it! I just need more.
And this guy, the one things we could stay on the middle ground about was like PlayStation. We did like PlayStation, but like he would still like just spit all over the 3DS. But he got like
Yes.
this dude literally he got a place he got a PSP. And PSP is cool. It was slick. It was portable and all that. But he would literally wear like this big metal. Like it wasn't like there's like a metal. There's a strap to this small little metal case to put the PSP in. But it was this big fucking clunky thing. Just this big, like just a big silver brick to put it in. And it came with a little strap, but it really wasn't made to be wore around your neck. Regardless, he did. So he just had this big fucking silver brick hanging around his fucking neck. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? He says, I'm just carrying it with me, just in case. Just in case, what?
Well, then there was
You're gonna like, what's the fucking brick? What's the fucking brick?
then there's what's his name?
You don't gotta say names. They could remain anonymous.
No, but Brian. Was it?
Oh, oh, yeah. I almost said his last name, Brian. Well, he was like,
Well, no, we're not talking about. But remember, he had because he was known in school as Game Boy because he'd always be wearing like the Game Boy Advance around his neck. And then I remember one time he was wearing a GameCube around his neck.
oh yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, we talked about this before. There's the multimedia club, which was basically just an excuse for people to bring like video games to school and play during lunch.
It was pretty much an excuse to play a lot of Smash Bros. And a lot of Halo.
It'd be at their own room, you know, the Halo guys in one room, you know, Smash Brothers kids in the other room, give each other like stark, shitty looks for a second, and go back to playing.
Straight enough, it's like I remember there actually wasn't really, even though like there was this mixed group, it felt like the feuds kind of went away in this section because, well, unless you were the fucking Rooster.
In time, the Rooster. We talked about the Rooster. Fuck the Rooster.
Yeah, nobody likes the fucking Rooster.
Well, but, even if you never heard of who the Rooster was in this show before, and so I think it's everybody went to school at the Rooster. It was like the really nerdy, scrawny kid who was just very like hated everything.
Had a Rooster
very
pompadour kind of thing going on, but it was not a good looking pompadour.
He had like this. It wasn't like a pompadour like he took care of it. It just happened that way. You know, it's more like it's not like he styled it this way. It's not like he took care of his hair. It just happened to fold over in this weird pompadour-esque way, but it just looked fucking weird. Gangly neck. And like you said the weird thing, and everyone knows this kid. It's just like everyone went to school with this kid. I think at some point in time, he's the kid that would wear his backpack during PE.
Yeah, wear his backpack during volleyball, just like stupid things like that. And he really is. He's like kind of like when they use the word troll. That's actually who they're talking about. When we say the Rooster, we're really talking about like a guy pre when that word troll was starting to be used popular, because he just reminded me of the guy who was just hateful towards everything. Like I can't tell you what this guy liked. I have no idea what he liked. I only know what he hates, and that's
Well,
everything.
to bring it around, he's the anti-Iwata. Just to bring it
Exactly.
around, so you can
Yes.
say we're still sort of on
We are.
topic.
These things
He's
all
the
stem from like
anti-Iwata.
he's. This is where he's just sitting there like, oh, I did. If I knew
Amazing
this is what
Iwata.
happened when I created these games, is you guys just sit around bickering all day long and judgmenting on other people and their games, I just would have never done it in the first place. What have I created? Americans don't have anything
No,
bad
no,
to do but
no.
to
It's
sit
all
around and
basically this
argue and
guy.
yell and call each other names. You're like, yeah, you pretty much summed up America right there.
No, audio just came back. You went
Oh,
all
okay.
staticky for a
I
minute.
thought you were hearing like those weird like
Yeah.
trumpet sounds outside your window that everybody's hearing these days.
Oh, you mean the like in the case there's a tsunami?
The solar flares.
The solar flares. What?
There's these solar flares that have been happening that create this weird trumpet sound. Okay, you know, like in Red State, the trumpet sound?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
That's
Shit.
what they sound like, and they're outside.
I feel really stupid behind the times. I gotta look
That's
into
okay.
this.
I only heard about this literally before the podcast, so you're not that far behind.
Well, I know that the certain times of day, like San Francisco will have that. Like when you first move here, it's like, what the fuck is
It's at
happening?
noon.
It's what?
It's the fire station at noon. They play like the atom bomb like alarm or disaster thing.
Well, they play it all over the city, like in all like random areas of the city you wouldn't expect to hear it. And I'm just like, what the fuck is like this is a test. This is a test of the outdoor security system, So and I remember just when I first moved here, I was just looking around like Godzilla just came out the theaters. It's like fuck. And then it's just like this is only a test. Like, oh, okay, cool.
I remember the first time I heard that when I was living in San Francisco, I was laying out on the roof of a building. So when you're on the roof, you really hear it. And then it starts going off. And it didn't say this is a test or anything like that. So that's all I could think of is like, I sit up, I'm looking over and like, oh fuck, an atom bomb's about to go off right here in San Francisco. I fucking knew it. Skynet has returned.
Then yeah, you just wait it. You just like with Cisco, Cisco. I want to let you know you're my best friend. Okay, why are you telling me this?
You're not jumping off the top of the building, are you?
There's no time left. I just want to let you know. Why? Why? It's like, what do you mean? There's no time left? Are you going back home? We're all going back home. We're all going back home. Just like, all right, I'll see you later.
See you.
Peace up. And then he just gets home. He's like, yeah, and they didn't drop it. They didn't drop it. Drop what? The bomb. Like, all right, want to play Smash Brothers? Yeah, let's play Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah, let's play Smash Brothers. That was the time when Smash Brothers 3 came out.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things just interconnect, both atom bombs and Smash Brothers.
Wait, was it the time? Oh shit, that was the time when. It's trippy when I think about how old Brawl is now.
I know.
I'm thinking about how old Brawl really is because I still think of that like, oh, that's the new one, even though the new one came out like a year ago. I'm still like, oh, Brawl, that new game. I'm just like, wait, Brawl came out
like almost 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, that trips me out when I think about it.
I know there's always these many things that like when something gets like its 20th year anniversary and stuff, and you just kind of flash back and go, I remember when this came out like clear as day, and it just doesn't seem like it was that long ago. And then you just kind of go,
It's more than the actual years. Wano is kind of like the reminder that it was however long ago. It's not the actual years. Let me go. That was a long time ago. It's the little details that are like right along with it. Wano like before I think of Dark Knight. It's still not that really. When you think about Dark Knight, it's not that old of a movie. But to remind myself of how long ago it was, want to know what I have to tell myself?
that's when we did Drunk Night.
Aside from that, my MySpace page had an image of Heath Ledger Joker on it. That's a little reminder of like, oh fuck, I had a MySpace and I had Heath Ledger Joker on there, and oh, that really fucking dates it.
Yeah, that.
You know? Then I think about my friends at that age, like, oh, so and so was posting about fucking breakup shit. My other friend was doing. Oh wow, yeah, that was before we even had a real YouTube channel constantly going. Oh wow, shit, you know.
Yeah, exactly those things. Well, it's like bring it back around one more time. Pokemon, the game is 20 years old this year. That to that to me, I mean, like in the U.S., I know it's a little bit less than that because we didn't get it until '98. But fuck it, that's when it came out. It's '95. That to me always blows my mind. And it's just like, because it just seems like yesterday playing Pokemon, and the sun was always shining, and '90s music was in the air, and
it does really. It does. That is definitely.
Batman was still on the TV. Well, I guess he still is, but you know what I mean. Batman Beyond was still on the TV.
In one form or another. Batman Beyond and reruns of the animated series. But here's a little thing. They actually have. I think it's happening. Maybe it's this week. Maybe it's next week. But in San Jose, they're having a big. At one of the big theaters there, they're doing a Pokemon concert.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Like a big orchestral concert of all the music and all that from the games.
See, I've always wanted to go to those. I know they kind of started those off with like the Final Fantasy concerts, and I remember, man, once again that feels like dated because I remember that was like 2002 when they first started doing those Final Fantasy concerts or whatnot. I was like, man, that'd be sweet to go, And then you also had they had the Smash Brothers one, and they had the classic games one, and so on. There's all these sweet little things like that would be a pretty awesome event to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how expensive they had. Probably can't imagine being cheap.
I want to say that every year they pick I'm not sure if they have a whole tour of it, but I want to say they go to a couple of different cities, and I want to say they pick like a particular franchise every year, every few years. I want to say the last one they did was Zelda.
Oh yeah. They did the Zelda one.
There's a legend because that was right when Skyward Sword came out. And they're advertising the music, get all the free music with the when you buy the game, all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it makes sense because I have that CD. I also got the Smash Brothers one too because it came in Nintendo Power. See, back in the good old days when magazines were always handing out free stuff. Actually, Nintendo Force is good about that. I have to say they always are giving out free posters and all kinds of goodies like that.
And that's just NF. Is that what Nintendo Force is, or is that one magazine? It's basically the new Nintendo Power.
It's it's like the successor to Nintendo Power, created by fans of Nintendo Power. It's literally the most amazing magazine I could possibly think of. I've never seen a magazine that good. And to top it off, there's no ads in it. It's all content.
Well, that's good right there. I remember like when we first had Premarital Death on the show, they were talking about it, and I was just like, "What is this? I don't know what's going on." You guys explained it to me.
You mean I was talking about? Because I'm like the only person that's like knows about it.
I think you and them talked about it. Maybe it was you just explaining it to all of us, but yeah.
That probably was it, because I say none of them have it. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a pretty awesome magazine. You can only get it through online, though, right?
Yeah, that's where I get. I mean, it's physical copies, but you order it online.
Yeah, you're probably not going to find
it. They had it on Kickstarter.
You're not going to find it in stores then. Okay. Well, I might get that.
No.
I might after I look into that and just start ordering that. The only thing is you got like I said, you got.
Now you get Wii U.
Well, Wii U would help. That would help, but I still got a 3DS. I still got that. But the other thing is...
Yeah, you're half.
The other thing is, though, I got the crazy homeless lady that wanders the street going through people's mail. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the downfall there. You don't have a good... You have to get a P.O. box or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting as all that is. No, this dude, though, he did, to come bring it back around what we were talking before, Satoru Iwata really did do a lot of good shit. I was actually, I'm not going to lie, looking at like Twitter, because every other post was somebody posting something in regards to, him. I'm going to be honest, some of the pictures I saw, I got a little like almost teary-eyed looking at some of them. There's one of like King DDD and Kirby just sitting out like looking out over like the ocean with like two balloons kind of drifting away. And like Kirby had his hand on like DDD's back right there.
Yeah, it's little things like that. They're just that touching and brings a tear to you, I guess.
The first day it happened, though, somebody who I really did not expect actually posted it. I don't know which member of the band it was, but one of my favorite bands is Deer Tick. Now, if you listen to Deer Tick, they are like a folk rock kind of. They're like a really grungy folk rock band, and they're kind of hillbilly-ish. But I love this band. They're really one of my favorite bands. Of all people, they posted a rest in peace Satoru Iwata. That really surprised me right there. Because I was looking at a lot of other big feeds, nobody did, but I was really surprised Deer Tick did.
Well, sadly enough, not sadly enough, I mean, they're probably about the same age as us, if not just a tad bit older.
I'm going to say they're probably like in their like like mid-30s to early 40s, but yeah.
Oh, okay, so they're a little bit older than
We'll
that,
say
but
mid-30s.
that's still in the Nintendo age, pretty
They
much,
are.
or the gamer age, I guess you could say.
That's just one of those things that just shows how many people they did reach out to. They kind of reached out to us, and they kind of reached out. I mean, they're not. I'm not gonna say they're like rednecks. They kind of have a little bit of that vibe. They have a little bit of that vibe and charm to them in their music, kind of. You know,
Like country boyish,
country boys. I say
like
rednecks. They have that
like
charm.
John Denver.
Maybe kind of like a John Denver. They do have like, well, they have some songs like West of All People is one that introduced me to them. But they got a little bit of like, I'm gonna say maybe a little bit of John Denver-ish kind of vibe to them. Some of their songs have this really Bob Dylan-ish thing, kind of a Tom Petty thing. Some songs will sound very like Stooges, like very very much like Iggy and the Stooges, like piano fast, kind of like how like how every once in a while like it sounds like Iggy was taking inspiration from Jerry Lee Lewis, like singing real fast, playing the piano, guitar behind him.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of that. It feels a little bit more Iggy Popish than it does Jerry Lee Lewis.
Huh. Yeah, I've only heard him a couple times, like when I heard him in your car, but
It's something like the only place I want to listen to Jared. The only place I was forced to listen to him. Yeah. Some people have trouble with him because the guy has a raspy voice, but I love the band, and I was really surprised to see that they were Nintendo fans. So yeah, at least one of them is.
oh, and here I'm looking at more of Iwata's kind of like gameography or whatever you want to call it. It looks like he directed this on IMDb. He looks like he directed Metroid Prime 3.
Huh.
And Super Paper Mario. I did not know that. Maybe in 2007 he's like, fuck it, I'm going to direct stuff. I've been programming and producing things forever. I mean, also on here it says Metroid 4, executive producer 2002, which that must be what
Metroid Prime was?
No, not your Prime. The one that came out at the same time
Fusion?
as Prime, the Game Boy. Fusion, yeah, that must be what that is.
Metroid has one of those like timelines that bounces all over the place, kind of like a well, I never played it, but I guess kind of like Castlevania to an extent.
Yeah, it kind of goes, each one of these
Not
games.
as many games as Castlevania, but yeah.
No, yeah, definitely, yeah. I think Castlevania still holds like one of the close records of like most games in a series.
Mm-hmm.
They did for a long time.
But no, like
I was just gonna say, I was just looking at his list of games. Like the games that like his name's on a bunch are a lot of the GameCube titles.
Mm-hmm.
He almost was like a producer on every single one of those ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you got to think of just about every single game that you enjoy from N64 to GameCube and Wii and so on.
Yeah.
Or every Nintendo game at least.
Like I did have.
I mean, he's even on Turn to Darkness and all kinds of stuff.
Well, even before he was their president in 02, he still had a hand in just like their in their development and in their like hands-on stuff. So the guy definitely had a major hand in Nintendo, and definitely probably I'm guessing he probably had a major hand in some of the major Mario titles and Zelda titles as well.
Exactly. Well, I gotta say this has nothing. It's sort of like off, but it's still on the same page. This makes me happy. It's an IMDb page thing, and since like IMDb is set up to be a movie site, when they have video games in there, they get a little bit confused. It says Star Fox Zero, and it says filming in parentheses right now, like it's a fucking movie.
You think for how many people go to IMDb, they could hire some programmers to
I think they
change the little things in development or something like that.
Well, I think they have all kinds of video game sections for IMDb, but for some reason this one was set up like it was a movie. Go figure. I guess because they got like the voice actors in there for Fox, Slippy, Falco, Peppy. See the full cast of who's in Star Fox Zero.
Just a bunch of Japanese names, and so.
No, it's like Mike West, Lisa Brown, Mark Lund, Jazz Adams.
$10 is Lisa West is Slippy.
Yeah, or Lisa Brown.
Lisa Brown, yeah.
I was waiting for Jazz Adams to be Brown. Jazz Adams sounds like the tall guy to play Peppy.
Hey, I'm Jazz Adams. All right, well, check this shit. Fox, no barrel. Yeah, God, that's Jazz Adams for you.
I hopefully hope in that Star Fox game that like they get guys that really sound like him, or hell, it'd be fantastic if they could find the old actors from Star Fox 64 and bring them on back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think now it's kind of funny. Now do a barrel roll. I have no idea how or why. Maybe it's like a viral thing, but now that is like synonymous with with Star Fox. You can't mention, you can't have like, even like Nintendo's acknowledged that in their marketing. You can't have like during like several like E3 like presentations, they had do a barrel roll, and the audience always cheers.
I mean, like it says that in the trailer. I want to say it says it like the very end of the trailer, like, and it's just like, yeah, people fucking flip out because it's like such a classic line, and that's really what Star Fox is. Because at that time period, we just didn't really have games that had all this voice. I mean, so think about like before Star Fox, how many games had like a lot of voice acting in it, other than Sega CD games? Sega CD is about the closest thing I can think that had a lot of voice acting.
Well, I can't think of a whole lot. I was really surprised though when I played Star Fox 64 because I used to be like, okay, there's a few lines, we're out. I mean, I was legitimately surprised at the ending of Mario 64 when Princess Peach actually talks to you. But I mean, I guess they're all saving that for the end. They're saving all that data for the very end of the game, and then once we get to like Star Fox, they're talking the whole way.
Or you got Super Metroid, where like Super Metroid, when the game starts up and it shows all this text, and you're like trying to read it, and then all of a sudden it reads it back to you, like, whoa, what the fuck?
I never played Super Metroid, but I can see that being shocking when you first see that. Like, whoa, what the fuck the future is now. But I remember being surprised and like awed back like in like Nintendo era when the Ninja Turtles game came out, and they took the audio from the show and just like it's like it was this really weird like it was like even though you could barely understand it, you could tell it was like it was still from audio from the show. It was just like, oh my god, it talked to me. Oh my god, that's amazing. Or like when you got Pokemon Yellow, and it wasn't on the Game Boy Advance. It was on the just standard Game Boy Color. And then like Pikachu popped up. It was just fuck.
It was like, whoa.
Because he pops up on the screen. It's not like you're just sitting there playing the game. It just pops up, or it's not like you're sitting there. It opens up like that. He literally comes up out of nowhere. Like, oh the fuck, you almost like back away.
Well, really quickly, I'm looking at the Star Fox Zero cast. Okay, the guy who plays Fox has been the same guy who's played Fox since the 64 one. Same with Peppy, and same.
Jazz Brown? Please tell me it's Jazz Brown. That sounds like a Peppy name.
No, Jazz Brown, he's the new Peppy from Star Fox 64 3D.
Okay.
So we're not getting classic Peppy. And
Jazz
I think the guy
Brown's
that plays
still a classy
Falco.
name.
Falco is not the original guy either. It's the guy from the Star Fox 64 3D one. Well, those kind of things that I guess you can't complain. At least we still get Mike West, our original Fox McCloud.
Yeah. Well, we don't really give a fuck about Slippy, but Slippy's there.
Fox!
You think they just put Slippy in the corner of the ship? Like, no, you fucking stay there. When the ship breaks, we'll call you.
Yeah, then you're
a mechanical genius. Beyond that, you're just a fuck up. You can't do nothing. Just stay in the fucking corner of the ship. Like he's like facing like in the corner, like in fucking like the Blair Witch Project.
Just standing there, waiting to be called upon.
like when like Crystal like joins the crew. She's like, want to see something fucked up? Watch this. Just like creaks the door open. He just stand there in the corner. How long is he there? Always.
Until we need him.
Watch this. Just like grabs like a fucking like wrench from his table, throws the back of his head, just continues to stand there, doesn't move.
He doesn't do anything until called upon.
Like what? Then he just throws like another thing. It hits him. You hear just like some faint whimpering, like some faint crying. It's fucking awesome, right? All right, let's go.
He has feelings.
Yeah. We told him if he ever leaves that corner when we don't call upon him, we'll shoot him out of the space lock. Fucking Rob rolls by, does it too. Like, hey Pepe, or hey Slippy. Yes, yeah. Never mind, I forgot. Just keeps on walking by.
Good old Slippy. I remember there was that person that like I knew in San Francisco who like she just was like a spitting image of Slippy. I mean, I literally had her name in the phone as Slippy because I didn't know what else to like put down.
All right, this is gonna be a long fucking winded. That just reminded me right here. This is going to be a very long-winded story. You're like, where the fuck are you telling me this? But all right, so one time, no, fuck you. I'm telling the story.
I
So
didn't say anything, but okay.
This one time,
At band camp.
Spencer, Kyle, and Cisco were like, oh, yeah, we want to go to Sacramento. Like, okay, we're all just going to go there and hang out. Okay, cool. We want to take your car. Okay, we can take my car. I got to work tomorrow morning, but okay, we can take my car as long as we're back quick. So we're going to check out Amoeba. This is a really cool music store. We're going to check out somewhere else. I don't remember. Kyle knows this great taco place. We're going to go there. Oh, awesome. What else do you do? Well, there's this one store. They sell, like, comics and they sell, like, DVDs. It's kind of like a big Borders, but they're open kind of late. Oh, awesome. Sounds cool. Let's go. So we're going around. And at some point, I choose not to say anything. I'm just going to, like, bite my fucking tongue. And keep in mind, nobody's paying for fucking gas.
Since that time period.
Like, oh, I don't have any fucking gas money on me. I can't fucking pay for gas. I don't fucking know. Otherwise.
Hold on, though. There's $50 lobster I need to buy later.
So, exactly. So we're going around, and they know where we're going after we get to this store, after we're going to this fucking, like, store, air quotes. At some point, we come by fucking railroad tracks and storage unit in Rape Alley of Sacramento, who knows where the fuck, driving around. And then I remember Cisco's like, yeah, a guy showed me it was around here. I'm just like, no way fucking Guy Dossie goes to a comic book shop. And I doubt he's going to go to a fucking comic book shop at like fucking 10:30 at night where all the fucking railroad tracks and fucking storage units on the edge of town are. Yeah, and fucking like Murder Rape Alley. And so then we just pull in fucking gangbangers hanging out right by a fucking lift, like some fucking lifted, like fucking like Camaro. Then like just shady ass characters, creepy old guy in sweatpants, all hanging out in front of a building with pink neon. Just like fucking figures. It just goes like, hey, Dunigan. Like, yeah. Like, this isn't a comic book store. Like, yeah, I figured that, you fucking cocksuckers. I put that together. So, and I never told you this. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to judge you now, but then, though, I'm totally fucking judging. Like, we kind of pissed off Dunigan because we told him one thing. We dragged him to something else. He has to be at work tomorrow. So, you know what we're going to do? Right now, it's $3 lap dances. We're just going to, like, split a lap dance between the two of us for $3 lap dance. And if you really don't want $3 lap dances. I'm going to tell you that right now. Regardless of that, though.
First and foremost.
I was so mad, I couldn't get hard. Keep in mind, I was so fucking mad. I literally had fucking women grab their asses and fucking tits across my face. I cannot get fucking hard.
Just said their arms crossed, frowny face.
And just like, yeah, just leaving, just like, motherfucker. We don't know how to. This is before GPSs and before smartphones, so we're just like, motherfuckers.
Before smart people.
Smartphones, or we weren't smart people either. So then, all right, now we're going to jump, like, say, a year later, maybe a year or 2 years later. Okay, that was all set up. That was all fucking set up. I'm visiting. You guys are like taking. You guys are taking classes in like Academy of Art in San Francisco. Kyle and I are visiting, and then you introduced me to this girl as Slippy. You're just like, hey Ryan, this is, and she says, I remember what her name was. She didn't say her name, but like Kyle's like, this was like, that's Slippy. Kind of like mouths it to me when her back is turned. Like, oh, hey, like, oh, you're Dunigan. Like, yeah, I'm Dunigan. Like, you're the one that saw naked people. It's like.
And I remember just the look you had on your face. You turned and just look at me and Cisco and just like, what have you been telling this girl?
Oh, here's the fucking prologue. Here's actually no, that's not the prologue. It's the epilogue. Because that actually this happened. I should have said this part first. What ends up happening right after that? We go to meet up with some friends of yours. Some like, I mean, they were cool and all. We just first meet them. And I mean, actually, no, fuck. No, this happened before I met this Slippy chick. As soon as I get to the fucking door, keep in mind, I'm just like never been driving in San Francisco before. The whole time I'm driving, like, oh, where the fuck do I go? It's fucking one ways and fucking traffics and people honking. What the fuck are we doing? You know, oh, it's a cable car. What the fuck is that doing? You know, it's scary driving San Francisco if you're a new driver and you haven't been driving that long. And I mean, I got like my license a little late. I didn't get my license until I was 18. So, and getting to San Francisco was quite a, what the fuck is this? You know, so we finally get there, and we finally get to your dorm. And as soon as I get there, like, and that's when Dunigan walks in and says, "Is this where the Spider-Man comics are?" Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, Dunigan, remember the time we went to the strip club? We told you it was the comic book store, and you walked in, and you're like, "Where's the Spider-Man section?" These people had to think I was the most hapless fucking idiot that walked in, going like, "Oh, is this the fucking Spider-Man section?" Like, really, the first impressions can't happen again, but you took that from me. You took that from me. I'll let you know.
Yeah, from that point on, you're known as that guy. And he'll always be known as that guy. They're probably on a different podcast right now telling the story from their point of view.
Then this guy who looks shell-shocked from I don't know what the fuck, maybe he's some puss who's never driven San Francisco before, stumbles in like, no, that didn't happen. But he has three people saying, yeah, it did, because Kyle was with me, so here I am. Just look like the biggest fucking dumbass. Like, this guy, he can't tell a difference between a fucking strip club and, like, fucking comic book store. One, you walk away with, like, variant covers. Another, you walk away with AIDS. How can you not tell the difference between those two?
Variant AIDS, that is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good story. See, it's those kind of events that, like...
So that's how we got to Slippy. That's how we knew this girl. That's how I met Slippy, I guess. The most, you know.
The woman who looked like Slippy. I don't know if that's a compliment, but...
Yeah.
You know, you probably want to look more like Cat from Star Fox if that's what you're going for. But Slippy... Well, one, Slippy's not even a girl, it's a dude, but...
She would like just have when she did talk, she would have like this. No, I feel kind of an asshole, but she would have this really frequent, just like mouth flapping, like how they urgently just like flap their heads, like yeah, like you know, when they just like it's not really like animation as much as just flapping.
Well, literally, it was literally a mix of like not only did she kind of look like Slippy, she sort of talked like Slippy, and then she had the mouth flapping like Slippy.
Which is,
and granted, you know, to some people that might feel like one of those things like, well, that's just kind of weird. I'm like, I thought that was cool. I almost felt like I was, you know, Fox or Falco or Peppy even in this world. Like, I'm like, wow, in the real world, I can be like, I'm in Star Fox. That's amazing.
Minus the ships, I just got the fuck up. I just got the fuck up, like, cope with no ship.
And nothing to repair.
All I got is
maybe I got the like bad deal of that Star Fox reality, but
all I got is this guy who I tell people he doesn't know the difference between a comic book store and a fucking strip club.
I think it was at that point where you just kind of like took stories, like let's just take this story and like make it kind of like, you know,
funny from our perspective,
like not really what happened, but like make it funnier.
No, you guys did.
And then once you say it enough times, you actually believe that's the real story because you've forgotten what the real one actually is.
Fucking Cisco. Next day, I mean, keep in mind, I love Cisco. Cisco's one of my best friends. But, like, later, like, next week or so, I mean, before I went to go visit you guys, but after all that shit happened, he says, like, oh, dude, you so owe us for that fucking lap dance. And I just, like, fucking ripped him, like, motherfucker, you split, like, $3. It was a fucking $3 lap dance. And I realized I said this loudly right in the middle of fucking Pizza Factory with a bunch of fucking families.
Yeah.
Like, he just snapped out. I just turn around, like, yeah, we'll get that to go.
It was like all that rage just built up over the last couple of days just to finally be taken out on Cisco at fucking Pizza Factory. Pizza Factory, which was literally like the one-stop hangout. It was like our Clerks, like mini mart, or our
Honker Burger if it's Doug.
Diner in Seinfeld or something like that. You know.
If it was Doug, it's our Honker Burger.
Yeah, there you go.
You never watched Doug, did you?
Not really.
Yeah.
I've seen episodes.
You're just like, what's this
about? I know. When you know there's that pause when you're like, what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, you said there's that pause. I was like, And no, but there's that episode. Like Doug was one of those ones. Like it's all about like diversity and life lessons of being a kid. That's what it's all about. And I could see you be like, "Fuck that. Where are the guns?"
And when did he throw a punch and start punching people in the face?
Just the episode where he finally beats
like
the fuck
Batman.
out of Roger. Just the episode where he finally beats the fuck out of Roger.
It's like, no, it's not yet. Oh.
Kind of waiting for that one where it was just all in his head because he would just like suddenly like daze off and like stare out into space until like some random like thing brought him back from his little like vision. And I'm just kind of waiting for that one where just like Roger says, "Hey, Funny, hey, Doug Funny, you're such a fucking idiot." Like throws like an egg at him. Then all of a sudden he like has this vision where he's like Quail Man fighting like a giant Godzilla Roger, and then it cuts to like reality. And then his hands are covered in blood. Like he's looking around. Roger's on the ground, just like like his throat is like caved in with like a fucking like spork jammed into the side of his head. Like, Doug, what did you do? You know, he says, I was Quail Man. He's like, oh fuck, he's doing it again. He's doing it again.
He's hallucinating.
This is a
Doug, we told you not to take LSD. We told you not to take LSD, Doug.
This is why we had to like move here to what was it fucking called? I don't remember the name of the town. Here's why we had to move to this town in the first place, Doug. This is why we had to leave. We can't ever go back to Arizona. We bring it back to Frisky Dingo there for a minute. Then he's later sitting like into a therapist. Like, yeah, you've apparently been having these delusions of just like these weird fantasy delusions where you're the hero. It's not the case, Doug. I'm sorry to say. There's a girl, Patty. Yeah, Patty's the girl of my dreams. Yeah, she's got a restraining order against you, and you just keep following her and talking to her like your best friends, but you're just not going away. It's just like, well, we're best friends. Like, no. We're on the same like beat ball team. Like, no, Doug, you're not. Then you're talking about your friend Skeeter. Like, yeah, Skeeter. There's no one named Skeeter. Skeeter doesn't exist. You know? No. He's the blue guy.
Skeeter's a lie.
Yeah, like he's the blue guy down the street. I think he's actually black, but he's the blue guy down the street. Like, no, Skeeter never exists. And your dog Porkchop's been dead since you've been 3. No, you just put this, just like this really dark.
He's just in this mental institution in a straitjacket or something.
Yeah. It's all in his mind.
See, that'd be a Doug show I'd watch. Not saying anything against Doug, but, you know, put him in a straitjacket.
Not saying anything against Doug, other than I don't give a fuck about it, but I think that was the series finale, actually.
Sounds like a good series finale.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place to leave off with. We had all types of fantastic memories of all the good times at Nintendo and everything else that was around that Nintendo. All brought to you by Satoru Iwata. He brought that life to us. He's why 4th grade was so amazing for me. Because of him, I can call it why.
Here's why most of my childhood was amazing.
Exactly. So, you know, there's something to thank. And, you know, his dreams will live on as he inspires, you know, everybody else. I mean, obviously, he's inspired so many people. And from that point on, what they create, what they do, what they achieve will set in goal the things we get to see not too far off in the future. But till then, go to oldmanorange.com. Check out more podcasts, animation, videos, and so on. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. And Mr. Iwata, you will be missed.
That he will. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast.
Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.